I've been getting a lot of questions lately about whether to go forward and take the February LSAT or not, so I wanted to run through the pros and cons of going forward with this particular LSAT test date. One thing you should consider is that February is the last LSAT you can reasonably take to apply to law school this cycle. Yes, some schools will take the results of the April LSAT or even the June LSAT, but your odds of getting in are going to be much lower, and you'll also be likely to get significantly less scholarship money. Instead, you're better off going ahead and taking the LSAT to apply the beginning of next cycle instead. And if you're even asking the question, am I ready for February or not? Chances are you're not likely to achieve your fullest potential on this LSAT. And so if you can reasonably wait a cycle and take it in April or June instead with the games, or August without the games, either way, you can still apply at the very beginning of next cycle instead. Now, whenever I'm talking about taking any given LSAT test date, I want to think about what is the average of the most recent 5 LSAT practice tests you've taken. That will give you the best indication of where you currently stand. If you're watching this video because you just took one recent LSAT practice test and it didn't go your way, if it was lower than you thought it would be, don't worry. That could just be an outlier. Maybe you were tired, maybe you were stressed, maybe you were distracted, maybe you didn't sleep well. Whatever it is, I would say if you have time, take another practice test and see, does that line up with your most recent result, or is it back up to the baseline, in which case you might still be okay. A lot of times score fluctuations are going to happen, and they are totally normal. In fact, I've never met a student whose scores didn't fluctuate. So if it's giving you anxiety that one particular practice test didn't go well, don't worry. It could just be one of those outliers. Take another practice test or two, and you might find that you're back on that upward trend towards hitting your goal LSAT score. Now, if you want to push to April or June instead, that's of course totally fine. You can still take the LSAT with the games, and you'll still be able to apply the beginning of next cycle, although that will likely significantly reduce your odds for getting into law school this cycle. Many schools won't even take the results of the April or June LSAT to start law school roughly, say, 2 to 4 months later. Now, LSAC has removed their retake limit of taking the exam 3 times in one testing cycle. So if you're not sure whether you're ready for February or not, you could go ahead and take it in February. And then if your score isn't what you want it to be, and then you could take it in April and or June in addition to having taken it in February, that would be totally fine. The most significant remaining retake limits are taking the LSAT 5 times in 5 years and 7 times for life. One less relevant retake limit is that if you get a 180, you can't take it again. Although, of course, you can appeal any of these LSAT retake limits. LSAC has, in some cases, granted exceptions to their rules. Now, if you're worried about retaking the LSAT, I want you to know that law schools do not penalize you for having taken the LSAT multiple times because they have no incentive to do so. Law schools are only evaluated based on the highest LSAT scores of their matriculating students. What this means is that they will not care if you took the LSAT and got a 160 followed by a 170. That's going to count like you got a 170. Law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores, but rather they only consider the highest score. So if you're not sure if February is going to be it for you, go ahead and take it, and then take it again in April and apply to law school next cycle if you need to. That would be a perfectly fine course of action. And then while you're waiting to get your February LSAT score back, you can, of course, work on your application essays, personal statement, optional essays, addenda, resume, and such, all of that during the 2 to 3 week wait while you're waiting to get your LSAT score back. Now, if you are considering an LSAT retake for April or June or beyond, you should know there are a variety of ways that I can support you at LSAT Unplugged. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out, and I'm personally looking for a couple of students aiming to achieve a 170 or above on the LSAT in April and June. I do have a couple of criteria for working with me, however. I'm looking for you to have scored a 160 or above on at least one timed practice test and to have a basic understanding of the different sections of the LSAT, the different question types. If this describes you, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.